YouTube, what it do? It's your boy TWV checking in for episode 38 of 40 years of WrestleMania with TWV. We are in the final 3 episodes, which means we are 2 days away from going to Vegas. Today's Tuesday, I'm burnt. But let's get into the WrestleMania. WrestleMania 38 was the 38th annual WrestleMania that took place on Saturday, April 2nd and Sunday, April 3rd at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Fort Worth, metroplex city of Arlington, Texas. This event was the fourth WrestleMania to be held in the state of Texas after WrestleMania 17, 25, and 32, and the second at AT&T Stadium after WrestleMania 32 in 2016. So this WrestleMania had a great stage. It had the huge star as the entrance. And I think every single one of them kind of had like a star themed, but this one was the best one in my opinion. Really liked the stage. It was really good. It was really great. It's not up there with the all-time stages. It might kind of fall right out of the outside, maybe like 6. I may do like my top 5 stages of all time too, just something else. Cause I'm a big architecture nerd. Just some sidebar, but the detail that goes into making these stages is really interesting to me, and the creativity of how they try to one up the stages every year. Some years are kind of lackluster, but the years where they really go all out, the WrestleManias kind of match that. So when you get a good stage, you're more than likely going to have a good WrestleMania. But with that being said, let's get into the matches that I do enjoy. The first match that I did enjoy on this WrestleMania was the Seth Rollins versus an opponent of Mr. McMahon's choosing. Going into this WrestleMania, like Seth Rollins was kind of on the outs of WrestleMania because he didn't have like an opponent or a feud or anything. So every week he would kind of go bother Mr. McMahon, asking who he would face and things like that. And he basically ended up like, I got a mystery opponent for you. Obviously, at this time, Cody Rhodes left AEW that January, so everybody thought he was coming back at the Royal Rumble, but they kind of but they held it off until WrestleMania, which is right now. So when Seth Rollins got to the ring, he was waiting on his opponent. The arena went black. Kingdom played the first part. You know, wrestling has more than one royal family. The pop that Cody Rhodes got was insane. I was hyped because I already knew he was going back after he left AEW. Like, ironically, I was at Cody Rhodes' last AEW show in Washington, D.C., where he cut basically a exit promo without it being the exit promo. He did go on later on in interviews to kind of say, like, yeah, when I cut that promo, that was kind of me getting that shit off my chest before I kind of left. And, you know, he ended up coming back to WWE, and you see the run he's been on since then. But this match was amazing. They probably texted each other about the match. I know they had Cody under wraps. Like, nobody knew Cody was back literally until that moment. Of course, like, higher ups knew and things of that nature. But him and Seth probably knew too. But they probably couldn't work their match out together. So for them to do their match literally in the heat of the moment, basically, I'm assuming, shows just how good Seth Rollins is, shows how great Cody Rhodes is as well, because wrestling, you got to have a good dancing partner. You got to understand what they want to do. You got to understand what you want to do, and it's got to be a back and forth. And for those two to go out there and have one of the best matches on the card, possibly the best match on the card in my opinion, on night one, that's a lot of in-ring IQ, like, to just know your dancing partner and have trust in them. Like, hey, if I do this, you're going to react to this, and hey, if you do this, I'm going to react to this way. It made WWE's list. I think it was number 40 on their list. I don't know where it's going to fall on my list. I was a big fan of this match. But like I said, I have so many matches to go back through over the next night and a half and just see which ones I'm going to put on the list and then where I'm going to rank them. Ranking them is going to be the hardest part. But with that being said, let's get into the next. So actually, before we get to the next one, I definitely recommend you watch this match. It's really good. This was the start of their trilogy. They had another match at Backlash, and I think they ended at Hell in a Cell that year. And that Hell in a Cell match, even though we're talking about WrestleMania, go watch that. That was one of the most insane Hell in a Cell matches I've seen in my life. Cody Rhodes wrestled with a torn pec, and man, he went out there and put on a masterful performance. But with that being said, let's get to the next one. The next match that I thoroughly enjoyed was Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. And man, like I said, Bianca Belair coming out party was last year, and then she just doubled down on it this year and put on a masterful performance. And it was, I want to say, the second best match of the night, just like if we're going off of in-ring wise, to a couple other good matches, but it's for like the match type and everything that goes overall into that match. But man, they went out there and they had a beautiful match. It went basically right under 20 minutes, and you were locked in. I was locked in, and if you watch it, you'll be locked in the entire time. They went out there and wanted to prove their point of they should have main evented. Like, the women always go out there and try to prove why they should main event, because the only main event in history was the one last year. A lot of people in wrestling, in the internet wrestling community, they call it the IWC. They like to push for the women to main event. I definitely am an avid fan of women's wrestling. If you watch any of my videos, recapping SmackDown, Raw, NXT, like I'm super pro women's wrestling. Like, women's wrestling sometimes has the best matches than men's matches on shows and pay-per-views and things like that. But this was a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Bianca Belair is generational, and she kind of been showcasing that since last year's WrestleMania at 37, and she continues to show it to this day. Like I said, they're probably her, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky are probably going to steal the show at this WrestleMania this weekend. I'm definitely excited for that. Cannot wait for that match. And yeah, I recommend you watch this. And with that being said, let's get to the next one. So the next match I thoroughly enjoyed from night one was the KO show turning into a match. So Kevin Owens had Stone Cold Steve Austin as his guest, and then he came out, and Kevin Owens been like, I ain't call y'all here to interview you, I challenge you to a match. So it was a no-holds-barred match, because Stone Cold couldn't wrestle your regular professional wrestling match. You had to kind of have something to it. So Stone Cold obliged, of course. And this was Stone Cold's last match. If you're watching this video right now, it is a spoiler. Not a spoiler, but a prediction. I think Stone Cold does help Cody Rhodes and the match on Sunday in the main event, because basically he was supposed to be in that slot last year, but he didn't want to go to Philly, so Undertaker filled that slot. So I think we have the ending of last year's WrestleMania again, where we have all the run-outs and run-ins and things like that. Stone Cold's glass breaks in Vegas, and that pop blows the roof off the building. That's what I'm thinking. But this was a great match. Stone Cold was out there, you know, he wasn't moving like he was in 2000, but he still had it in him. He was stomping a mud hole in Kevin Owens. He was drinking beer. They brawled out in the crowd a little bit. Stone Cold was suplexing KO on the stage and everything. It was a great match. It was a fun match. It clocked in right under 14 minutes. It was really fun. It was cool for me to see, because at this point, at this time when I was watching WWE, I had never seen Stone Cold wrestle live. I had only seen like his matches on YouTube or WWE on demand and things like that. So for me to be able to see Stone Cold Steve Austin live was pretty cool to see. I definitely enjoyed it. But with that being said, let's get to the next one. So the next match that I thoroughly enjoyed was Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn in an anything goes match. And this match was insane. It was wacky. It was funny. And ironically, I got to give it a 5-star, man. You got to go watch it to understand. Like, it was just, they was doing anything. They rolled a bowling ball into somebody's crotch. They put Sami Zayn in like a human-sized mouse trap. Wee Man that came from under the stage, under the ring, and body slammed Sami Zayn. They were kind of doing anything in this match, and it was funny. It was entertaining. Like, it was goofy. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I go watch it, man. It's a 5-star just for how goofy it is. There's no in-ring graps about this a little bit, but it's just like how hilarious, and like you'll just be watching like, what? Like, why? Like, but you'll be locked in because it's entertaining. So with that being said, let's get to the next one. So the next match that I thoroughly enjoyed was Edge versus AJ Styles in a singles match. And man, this was some real graps. It is another underrated AJ Styles WrestleMania match. A lot of people on the internet kind of don't like this match. I like the match. It was good for me. Like, you got to understand, Edge was kind of past his prime. He had took 10 years off because of the neck issue. So he had shook the rust off to get in shape, to get back in wrestling shape. But he wasn't 10 years ago Edge. So you got to understand that when your favorite wrestlers get older, they don't move the same like when they were younger. Like, going into this WrestleMania, John Cena is my favorite wrestler of all time, but he not gonna be moving around like he was against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. It's gonna be a different John Cena. He gonna go try to turn back the clock, of course, but it's not going to be what it's going to be. But back to the match. That's what Edge did. He tried to turn back the clock as best he could. And, of course, AJ Styles could wrestle a broomstick. He had an amazing dancing partner with him that night. I'm always going to say that when wrestlers have great dancing partners, they can make magic inside the ring. And this was magic inside the ring. It's not a 5-star, but it is a 4-star in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoyed the match. AJ Styles is generational. Edge is one of my childhood villains, but I hated him so much. I loved Edge. The match was great with me, so I would definitely go ahead and watch it. Edge did defeat AJ Styles by pinfall. It was a great match, though. Ironically, this was the longest match of WrestleMania altogether, which was a shocker. Definitely thought the main event would be longer, but we're about to get to the main event. So with that being said, let's get to the next one. So the main event was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in a winner's take all match for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So Roman was a Universal Champion and Brock Lesnar was the Raw Champion. So, clash them together. Whoever wins is going to be the Undisputed Champion. This was the final, I want to say this was the final match between Roman and Brock, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they ran it back after this. But is this the last one? 38, 39. Yeah, this is the last Roman Brock match in WWE history. Because I don't think Brock is coming back. Roman doesn't have the belt anymore anyway, and there's a whole new crowd of people he can wrestle now. So the match ended really flat because they don't want to say it. Well, they'll probably say it now, but at the time, Roman's shoulder got knocked out of his socket, so they sped the match up, and Roman was supposed to win, of course. Brock Lesnar put Roman in the Kimura. He twisted his arm too far, popped his shoulder out of place. As y'all know, Brock Lesnar is an MMA person, so it's like he really hit him with the Kimura, like he was really trying to tap him out. And Roman wasn't going to tap out, obviously, because they couldn't screw the finish of the match. So they called an audible, sped the match up. Roman got out, I think he rolled out the ring, rolled back in the ring, speared Brock. 1, 2, 3, match was over. So I liked the match up until that part, and then, like I said, the ending was really flat. So, gotta give it 3.5 stars. But hey, it is what it is. With that being said, it's your boy TWV checking in and checking out. I'll catch you tomorrow for the next one. Peace.